Before coins there was barter, a simple exchange of goods. But as Rome grew from a small settlement into a sprawling power, it needed something more. Something reliable. Something that could knit its vast territories together. The answer was coinage. The first Roman money wasn't even circular. It was a rough lump of bronze called the as rude. Think of it as a starting point. A simple, weighty promise of value. It was heavy, impractical, and lacked any official markings. Yet, it was a revolution. For the first time, value was standardized. It was a small step, but it set Rome on a path that would change the world of commerce forever. It was the beginning of a story told in metal. The real game changer arrived around the 3rd century BC. This was the aes signatum, or signed bronze. These were large rectangular bronze bars stamped with images, perhaps a bull or an eagle. These weren't just lumps of metal anymore. They were statements of authority. They told you who made them, who guaranteed their weight and worth. This was the state stepping in, taking control. It was a powerful message. It said, "This is Roman. This is trustworthy." Imagine the feel of one of these in your hand. Heavy, solid, and decorated. It was more than just money. It was a piece of Roman identity you could hold. It connected farmers, merchants, and soldiers across the growing republic. Then came the coin we all recognize, the circular stamped piece of metal. The Roman Republic introduced the denarius, a small silver coin that would become the backbone of its economy for centuries. The denarius was a masterpiece of propaganda. On one side, you might find the head of a god or goddess, linking Rome's power to the divine. On the other, a scene of military victory or a symbol of state. These weren't just for buying bread. They were pocket-sized billboards, spreading the message of Roman glory to the farthest corners of the known world. Each coin was a tiny testament to the power and ambition of the people who minted it. Alongside the silver denarius, there were other coins for different needs. The gold aureus was for large transactions, a symbol of immense wealth. For daily life, there were bronze coins like the as, the sestertius, and the dupondius. Each had its place in the vibrant economy of the Roman world. From the grandest public works to a simple meal at a tavern, these coins were the lifeblood of the empire. They were made from metals pulled from the earth, stamped with the faces of emperors and gods, and passed through countless hands. They tell a story of power, trade, and the daily lives of millions of people who built an empire. After Rome fell, its unified system of coinage shattered. Like a broken mirror, Italy splintered into a mosaic of competing territories. Kingdoms, duchies, and powerful city-states all rose from the ashes, and each one needed its own money. This was a time of intense local pride and fierce rivalry. The coins of this era reflect that perfectly. They weren't trying to project the power of a vast empire anymore. Instead, they spoke of the wealth and independence of a single city. They were a declaration of sovereignty, a metal flag that declared, "We stand on our own." The age of the universal denarius was over. The age of the local florin and ducat had begun. Look to Florence, a powerhouse of banking and trade. In the mid-13th century, it introduced a coin that would become legendary, the gold florin. This was a coin of incredible purity and beauty. On one side, it showed the city's emblem, the fleur-de-lis, or giglio fiorentino. On the other was the image of its patron saint, John the Baptist. The florin was a statement of Florentine confidence. It was so trusted for its consistent weight and purity that it became a dominant international currency. It was the dollar or the euro of its day, used by merchants from England to the Middle East. It was a testament to the skill of Florentine minters and the financial might of its bankers. Then there was Venice, the serene republic, queen of the seas. Its power was built on maritime trade, and its coins reflected that. The Venetian gold ducat, first minted in the late 13th century, was its answer to the florin. It featured the city's patron saint, St. Mark, presenting a banner to the kneeling doge, the leader of Venice. On the other side was an image of Christ. Like the florin, the ducat was a coin of exceptional quality. Its design barely changed for over 500 years. This consistency made it incredibly trustworthy. For a Venetian merchant sailing to distant lands, the ducat was more than money. It was a piece of home, a symbol of the republic's stability and enduring power. Across the Italian peninsula, other cities minted their own stories in silver and gold. Genoa, another great maritime republic, struck its Genovino. The powerful dukes of Milan issued coins bearing their own stern portraits. Each coin was a window into the world that created it. The symbols, the saints, the rulers' faces, they all tell a story of local identity, faith, and ambition. This patchwork of currencies made trade complicated, of course. Money changers became essential figures in every marketplace. But this very diversity is what makes the period so fascinating. It was a time when a coin in your pocket told you not just what you could buy, but exactly where you were. In the heart of Italy, there was a state unlike any other. The Papal States. Ruled directly by the Pope, this territory had its own government, its own army, and of course, its own coins. For over 1,000 years, the popes issued currency that was distinct from all others in Italy. These coins were not just for commerce. They were powerful instruments of religious and political authority. They were minted in cities like Rome and Avignon, and they circulated widely, carrying the message of the papacy wherever they went. Holding a papal coin was like holding a piece of the Vatican's long and complex history. It was a reminder that the Pope was not just a spiritual leader, but a temporal prince. The designs on these coins were deeply symbolic and overtly religious. You won't find many scenes of military conquest here. Instead, you'll see the keys of St. Peter, the symbol of the Pope's authority on earth. You'll find images of Christ, the Virgin Mary, and countless saints. The Pope's own coat of arms was a common feature, often surmounted by the papal tiara and crossed keys. Each coin was a miniature sermon, a declaration of faith cast in metal. They served to reinforce the legitimacy of the Pope's rule over his territories and his role as the head of the Christian world. They were a constant, tangible reminder of God's authority vested in the man in Rome. The names of the coins themselves often had religious origins. The grosso papale, the scudo, and the piastra were the workhorses of the papal economy. During the Renaissance, popes who were great patrons of the arts, like Julius II and Leo X, commissioned coins of incredible beauty. Famed artists and medallists were employed to create designs that were both pious and aesthetically stunning. These coins often featured a portrait of the reigning pope on one side, a practice that emphasized his personal power and prestige. It was a way of saying that the spiritual and the worldly were intertwined in the person of the pontiff. These coins were works of art as much as they were units of currency. As the centuries passed, the coins of the Papal States chronicled the changing fortunes of the papacy. They reflect periods of great power and periods of crisis. During the sede vacante, the time between the death of one pope and the election of another, special coins were issued. These were marked with the symbol of the camerlengo, the cardinal who administered the Holy See during the interregnum. These rare coins are a fascinating glimpse into a unique moment of transition. The story of papal coinage finally came to an end in 1870, when the Papal States were absorbed into the newly unified Kingdom of Italy. But the coins remain, silent witnesses to a time when the Pope was also a king. At the turn of the 19th century, a storm swept across Europe. That storm was Napoleon Bonaparte. His conquest redrew the map of the continent, and Italy was no exception. Napoleon's influence was profound, and it extended right down to the money in people's pockets. He sought to standardize and modernize everything he touched, and coinage was a key part of his plan. The complex, chaotic system of old ducats, scudi, and florins was swept away. In its place came a new, rational system based on the French franc. This was a radical change, a deliberate break with the past. Napoleon was building a new order, and it required a new kind of money. In the parts of Italy under his direct control, such as the Kingdom of Italy in the north, new coins were issued, and they looked very different. Gone were the saints and city emblems of the old regimes. In their place was the powerful aquiline profile of Napoleon himself. He presented himself as a modern-day Roman emperor, a lawgiver and a conqueror. The coins declared him Napoleon Imperatore e Re Napoleon, Emperor and King. This was pure political messaging. Every time someone made a purchase, they were holding a portrait of their new ruler. It was a constant reminder of who was in charge. The coins were no longer about local identity. They were about loyalty to a new empire. The symbols on these coins were also new and revolutionary. The old coats of arms of dukes and kings were replaced with the symbols of Napoleonic power. The imperial eagle, a clear reference to ancient Rome, was a dominant feature. The Iron Crown of Lombardy, an ancient symbol of Italian kingship that Napoleon had placed on his own head, also appeared. The inscriptions were in Italian, a nod to a growing sense of national identity that Napoleon perhaps unintentionally, helped to foster. The currency was now decimal. The new lira was divided into 100 centesimi. This was a logical modern system that made calculations far easier. It was a clear departure from the old, often confusing subdivisions of medieval currencies. Napoleon's reign in Italy was short-lived, but his impact on its coinage was lasting. He had shown that a unified decimal-based currency was possible for the peninsula. He had swept away many of the old mints and monetary systems, paving the way for something new to emerge. When his empire collapsed and the old rulers returned, many tried to turn back the clock. They restored their old currencies and put their own faces back on the coins. But the idea of a single modern currency for all of Italy had been planted. Napoleon, the foreign conqueror, had inadvertently laid the monetary groundwork for the future unification of the country he had subjugated. The fall of Napoleon led to a period of restoration, but, the dream of a united Italy, the Risorgimento, was still very much alive. For decades, patriots, thinkers, and soldiers fought to unify the patchwork of kingdoms and duchies into a single nation. In 1861, that dream finally became a reality with the proclamation of the Kingdom of Italy under King Victor Emmanuel II. A new nation, of course, needed a new flag, a new anthem, and, a new currency. The choice was clear. They adopted the lira, the name and decimal system introduced by Napoleon, as the official national currency. This was a powerful symbol of unity. From the Alps to Sicily, everyone would now use the same money. The first coins of the Kingdom of Italy were a statement of this newfound national identity. They all featured the portrait of King Victor Emmanuel II, the father of the fatherland. His bearded profile facing left became the unifying image on the nation's money. On the reverse, the coins displayed the coat of arms of the ruling House of Savoy, a simple shield with a cross. This was surrounded by the collar of the Supreme Order of the Most Holy Annunciation, the highest chivalric order of the kingdom. These designs were elegant, regal, and uniform. They were meant to project an image of stability and tradition for the young kingdom. The new lira was minted in gold, silver, and bronze. There were large, impressive silver 5-lira coins, often called the scudo, which became the workhorse of the currency. Gold coins of 20 and 10 lira were also minted, though they were used less in daily transactions. For smaller change, there were bronze coins for the centesimi values. These coins were produced at mints in major cities like Turin, Milan, and Naples, but the designs were standardized across the entire country. For the first time in centuries, a coin from Naples was identical to one from Milan. This monetary union was a crucial step in forging a common Italian identity out of a collection of diverse regions. As the monarchy continued under King Umberto I and later Victor Emmanuel III, the coins evolved, but the basic format remained. The monarch's head was always on the obverse, a clear symbol of the state. The reverse designs, however, began to incorporate more nationalistic symbols. You might see an eagle, a symbol of strength, or allegorical figures representing Italy itself. These coins were in the pockets of Italians as the nation industrialized, expanded its colonial ambitions, and navigated the complex politics of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The lira was more than just money. It was a constant, tangible presence of the new unified state in the daily lives of its citizens. The first half of the 20th century was a period of immense upheaval for Italy, and its coins tell a story of hardship and radical change. World War I placed an enormous strain on the Italian economy. Precious metals like gold and silver vanished from circulation, hoarded by both the government and the people. Coinage had to adapt. The government began issuing coins made from cheaper materials like nickel and a special iron-based alloy called acmonital, which actually stands for Acciaio Monetario Italiano, or Italian monetary steel. These coins were smaller, lighter, and purely functional. Their designs were simple, often featuring symbols of patriotism and victory to boost morale during the difficult war years. The rise of Benito Mussolini and his fascist party in the 1920s brought another dramatic shift. Coinage, like everything else, became a tool for propaganda. The portrait of King Victor Emmanuel III remained on the coins, as he was still the head of state. But the reverse side was taken over by the powerful symbols of the new regime. The most prominent of these was the fasces, a bundle of rods with a projecting axe blade. This was an ancient Roman symbol of authority and power. which Mussolini adopted to link his modern state with the glories of the past. Seeing the fasces on every coin was a constant, unavoidable reminder of the fascist party's control over the nation. The designs of the fascist era were bold and assertive. They projected an image of strength, modernity, and imperial ambition. An eagle, with its wings outstretched, perched atop a fasces, became a common motif. Wheat sheaves symbolized the battle for grain, Mussolini's campaign for agricultural self-sufficiency. A muscular, semi-nude figure with a hammer represented the power of labor, harnessed for the state. Even the style of the lettering became more rigid and monumental, evoking classical Roman inscriptions. These coins were designed to shape how people thought, to instill a sense of national pride and obedience to the Duce's will. They were a key part of the totalitarian project to remake Italy in the fascist image. World War II brought even greater economic devastation. By the later stages of the war, the minting of official coins had virtually ceased. The country was racked by civil war and Allied invasion. In this chaotic environment, small change was incredibly scarce. As a result, all sorts of emergency money appeared, from paper notes issued by local chambers of commerce to simple tokens. After the war and the fall of fascism, the monarchy was abolished and Italy became a republic. The coins bearing the king's head and the hated fasces were quickly withdrawn. They remain today as dark relics of a turbulent and painful chapter in Italy's long history. With the birth of the Italian Republic in 1946, the nation needed a new currency that reflected its new democratic values. The monarchy was gone, and so were the symbols of fascism. It was time for a fresh start. The post-war lira coins were a complete break from the past. They were a celebration of Italy's culture, its people, and its natural beauty. The designs were chosen to be relatable and inspiring, focusing on themes of work, peace, and hope for the future. These were coins for a new Italy, looking forward to an era of reconstruction and prosperity, a period that would become known as the economic miracle. The first series of Republican coins introduced designs that would become beloved classics. The 1 lira coin showed a set of scales, symbolizing justice, and a cornucopia for abundance. The 10 lira coin featured an olive branch, a universal symbol of peace, and a plow, honoring the nation's agricultural roots. The 20 lira coin depicted an oak branch, representing strength. Perhaps the most iconic was the 50 lira coin, which showed the Roman god Vulcan, stripped of his mythological grandeur and reimagined as a modern steelworker, a powerful tribute to the nation's industrial strength. These were coins that celebrated the ordinary Italian and the dignity of labor. As the decades passed, the designs became even more artistic and innovative. The 100 lira coin, introduced in 1955, featured a graceful image of the goddess Minerva on one side and a dolphin on the other, a nod to Italy's classical heritage and its connection to the sea. The 500 lira coin, first issued in 1958, was a beautiful silver piece showing the bust of a Renaissance-era woman surrounded by the coats of arms of Italy's historic regions. It was a coin that celebrated both female beauty and the rich, diverse history of the nation. These coins were designed by talented artists and engravers at the Italian State Mint, and they were miniature works of art that people carried with them every day. In the 1980s, Italy became a pioneer in coinage technology by introducing some of the world's first widely circulated bimetallic coins. The 500 lira coin was redesigned, now featuring a bronze center inside a stainless steel ring. This made it harder to counterfeit and gave it a distinctive modern look. Later, a bimetallic 1000 lira coin was also introduced. These coins were incredibly popular and showcased Italy's flair for design and innovation. The lira coins of the Republic, from the humble aluminium 1 lira to the striking bimetallic 1000 lira, tell the story of Italy's post-war recovery, its economic boom, and its enduring artistic spirit. On January 1, 2002, a monumental change occurred. After more than 140 years, the Italian lira was retired. Italy, along with 11 other European nations, officially adopted the euro. This was a huge moment, both practically and symbolically. It marked a new stage in Italy's journey, tying its economic destiny more closely than ever to that of its European neighbors. For a time, both lira and euros were used side by side, a strange period of transition where people had to think in two currencies at once. But soon, the familiar lira coins and banknotes, which had been part of daily life for generations, disappeared from circulation, becoming relics of a bygone era. A unique feature of the euro is that while the banknotes are the same across all Eurozone countries, the coins have a common European side and a unique national side. This allows each country to retain a piece of its own identity on its currency. Italy took a wonderfully democratic approach to choosing its designs. The public was invited to vote for their favorite themes in a television poll. This was a brilliant way to get people engaged with the new currency. The winning designs were a beautiful collection of images that celebrate Italy's immense contribution to world art and culture. A gallery of masterpieces you can carry in your pocket. Each of the 8 Italian euro coins has a different design, a testament to the nation's artistic legacy. The 2 euro coin features a portrait of the great poet Dante Alighieri as painted by Raphael. The 1 euro coin showcases Leonardo da Vinci's iconic Vitruvian Man, a perfect symbol of the Renaissance, humanism, and the fusion of art and science. The 50-cent coin depicts the ancient Roman statue of Emperor Marcus Aurelius on horseback. The 20-cent coin shows a sculpture by the futurist artist Umberto Boccioni, representing dynamism and modernity. Even the smallest coins are miniature works of art. The smaller denominations continue the tour of Italian masterpieces. The 10-cent coin displays a detail from Botticelli's The Birth of Venus. The 5-cent coin shows the Colosseum in Rome, an enduring symbol of ancient power. The 2-cent coin features the Mole Antonelliana in Turin, a landmark of 19th century architecture. And finally, the tiny 1-cent coin is decorated with the Castel del Monte, a unique 13th century castle in Puglia. This incredible range of designs, spanning more than 2 millennia of history, makes Italian euro coins some of the most interesting and beautiful to collect. They are a daily reminder of Italy's unparalleled artistic heritage. The story of Italy's coins is the story of Italy itself. From the denarius that financed the Roman legions to the euro that connects Italy to a wider continent. Each coin is a historical document. They are not just tools for buying and selling. They are artifacts that reflect the politics, religion, art, and identity of the people who made and used them. The Italian state mint, the Istituto Poligrafico e Zecca dello Stato in Rome, continues this long tradition. It not only produces the circulating euro coins, but also creates a stunning array of commemorative coins. These special issues celebrate significant events, famous Italians, and artistic treasures, continuing the tradition of using coins to tell a national story. This long and varied history makes Italian coins a paradise for collectors. Some pieces are incredibly rare and valuable. A gold florin from medieval Florence or a ducat from Venice is a tangible link to the age of the merchant princes. A silver scudo from the Papal States bearing the portrait of a Renaissance pope is a work of art in itself. Even some coins from the modern era are highly sought after. For instance, certain lira coins from the early years of the Republic, minted in very small numbers, can be surprisingly valuable. Collecting Italian coins is like taking a journey through time, holding pieces of history from dozens of different states, regimes, and eras. What do these coins tell us? They show us the transition from the unified power of Rome to the proud independence of the medieval city-states. They reveal the deep influence of the Catholic Church and the revolutionary upheaval brought by Napoleon. They chart the difficult path to national unification, the dark years of fascism, and the vibrant rebirth of the Republic. They showcase an artistic sensibility that is uniquely Italian, a love of beauty and design that finds its way onto even the most humble of objects. The shift from the lira to the euro represents the most recent chapter in this story, a tale of integration and shared destiny in a modern Europe. Ultimately, the journey of Italian coinage is a powerful reflection of Italy's culture and identity. It's a story of fragmentation and unity, of devotion and power, of incredible artistic achievement and profound historical change. The metal discs that have passed through the hands of Roman centurions, Florentine bankers, Venetian merchants, and modern Italians are more than just money. They are the autobiography of a nation, written in bronze, silver, gold, and bimetal. To study them is to understand the soul of Italy, a country that has for millennia stamped its remarkable story onto the very currency of daily life.